welcome to the Broadbeach Bowls Club on Australia's Gold Coast for the third and final Trans-Tasman test between Australia and New Zealand. First up, men's triples action. Jamie Hill, Andrew Kelly and Ali Forsyth up against Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff. And then we'll have the second round will be the women's fours and then the women's triples. And there you can see the combinations there. One change is that change in addition that Jamie Hill is in for Chris Lalive in that men's triple. And so that was the change that they made yesterday. So Chris Lalive has moved into the men's pair. Jamie Hill coming into the men's triple to take on Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff. But it's a dead rubber final Trans-Tasman test for the men. Outclassed in the first two, losing the first Trans-Tasman test at Club Helensvale 4-2, losing the second at Musgrave Hill 5-1. So really it's all about the women today as far as New Zealand's perspective is, and we'll be covering the women's fours and women's triples later today. And in that second session, the true highlight being Val Smith's 600th test for New Zealand, joining her good mate Joe Edwards in the 600 club, the only Blackjacks to do so. But in the first session of the day, it is men's triples action, and we are underway. I'm Brenton Van Nistelrooy. I will have the call for you today throughout all three sessions alongside Kevin Hicklin. Very good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Brenton, and another beautiful morning here on the Gold Coast here at the Broadbeach Club, which will be the headquarters for the World Bowls in 2020. And yes, a dead rubber for the men, but a lot to play for though, Brenton, because there's New Zealand positions up for grabs for the World Bowls, and the selectors, of course, are here today. They want to see a lift in the performance of our New Zealand players, and a big effort here today by our men. And we've seen in the past the ability of these players, and I'm sure that we will see a better performance today from our New Zealanders. No wind here at Broadbeach, of course. Green running at around about 15.5 seconds, as advised to me just a moment ago by Peter Ballas. And, of course, that milestone this afternoon of Val Smith playing her 600th game. I was fortunate enough to be at the World Bowls in 2016 when Val played her, as did Joe Edwards. Both played during that period their 500th game. So it's a pleasure to be here again for her 600th. And later on today, we'll talk obviously more about that, because there are a few sort of stats which are of interest and of this very accomplished career of Val Smith, formerly of Nelson, of course, and now based in Sydney. But this morning, of course, as Brenton said, it's the men's triples. Jamie Hill, Andrew Kelly, Ali Forsyth up against the Australian combination Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff. And it's fair to say, Brenton, their tussles have been pretty tight. And we look at the very first end out in front of us now, and we've certainly again got a very tight end to the start of the end one of this Trans-Tasman men's triples battle.
Yeah, certainly do. Very short end that Australia have opted to play here. Now Ali Forsyth playing the final bowl of the end with the cap off, getting that sunshine on the dome on the final day of this Trans-Tasman, playing with weight here as Australia has bowls all around the head. New Zealand's got one, but I think it's just going to be the one, I believe, to Australia on that first end of 18. Yeah, the first two contests in particular on the first Trans-Tasman test. New Zealand won the first 19-13. And then Australia won the second 18-13. But yesterday, when they made the switch, Chris Lalive moved into the pair, Jamie Hill moved into the triple. They lost 29-11. So that certainly wasn't a close contest, and they'll be wanting to bounce back from that performance, because that was absolute hiding on the very difficult green at Musgrave Hill with the windy conditions, and looking to bounce back and restore some pride. Of course, they'll play the men's triples twice today in this third and final Trans-Tasman test.
Yes, we certainly saw, Brenton, yesterday afternoon, especially in round two. We saw some blowout of scores in the men's triples and also the women's pairs. Today, though, we don't have those trying conditions. They've played a lot of bowls on these greens here at Broadbeach, and there's no excuses for not putting on what I would call the performance of a New Zealand representative on these greens here today.
Yeah, certainly. They've played a lot here throughout the multi-nations. Obviously Saturday and Sunday they were here. But final round action and finals day of that multi-nations tournament. And obviously had earlier round robin here as well. Plenty of practice ends, and now back here for the third and final Trans-Tasman Test. They played a lot here during the Asia Pacific Championships, the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. This is the host club for World Bowls as well, along with Club Helensvale and Musgrave Hill, so there can certainly be no excuses. And it's after that first head, I think we're going to see a lot more consistency, especially this morning. Beautiful conditions, isn't it, Kevin? Very much no wind to speak of, really, at all, and it should be very reliable greens. This green number 4 has played very well throughout the 10 days of competition.
Certainly has. We watch Jamie Hill now with his second bowl, drew a good bowl with his first, and Barry Lester just rested the bowl out as he comes down towards the jack now. As Jamie Hill plays a perfect draw shot right to the jack. And just a point for the viewers out there, Brendan, if you want to watch a game well worth watching, go back onto the Bowls New Zealand website and watch the singles game yesterday between Jamie Hill and Aaron Wilson, which was the last game yesterday afternoon. And you have seen two of the fastest bowlers in the world, but what a display by Aaron Wilson, running out the winner by 21-17 and put the jack in the ditch no more than 6 times throughout the game and drew to it. It was as Jamie Hill said to me afterwards, it was a masterclass. And what did you do? Yeah,
certainly. And Jamie Hill, in an interview when I was talking to him afterwards as well, was saying how, well, obviously, that's how Aaron Wilson plays, the speed, and I was happy to play like that too. I felt comfortable doing so, and yeah, it was incredible speed. There's actually a few funny moments as the marker was trying to keep up with the pace that Aaron Wilson and Jamie Hill were playing at. Unfortunately, it was another defeat, though, for the New Zealand men, who only won 1 game yesterday in the second Trans-Tasman, so that decade-long wait for them to win the Trans-Tasman continues, Kevin.
Yes, well, we now wait till February, of course, where we play another Trans-Tasman fixture, which will be played here at Broadbeach, Musgrave Hill and Helensvale. So we wait now. Of course, the women, though, every opportunity today as we watch Corey Wedlock on the drive. He might get a slide off a bowl here. He does. Got one of the New Zealand bowls out. Leaves the front bowl of Hill sitting on the jack. Definitely one to New Zealand.
Actually, they've made a change to their trio because that's how it was actually Aaron Tees. And notice with the yellow bowls, of course, Wedlock playing with the white, red and green bowls, wasn't he? But that was the yellow bowls of Aaron Tees.
They were.
Familiar delivery of Aaron Tees as well. So that's a change. It'll be interesting to see. Assume Wedlock must be playing in the pair, that means, with Aaron Wilson. So that's an interesting there because I know that the New Zealanders were really struggling, either be Crystal Olive or Jamie Hill, to get the better of Aaron Tees in the pair, and they've decided to move him into the triple.
Yes, it's an interesting move by Australia. And of course, throughout both the multi-nations and this event, they have made some changes throughout. They made changes yesterday in the women as well, when we saw Chloe Stewart come out of the singles spot late yesterday afternoon, and Kelsey Cottrell assumed a role of the singles player. So Australia also experimenting. There's one Australian lead which is no doubt cemented, and that's that of Barry Lester, who has just led right throughout the whole event, both multi-nations and here, and certainly one of the most accomplished leads going around. But New Zealand holding the shot, in fact holding 2 shots, as we see Ali Forsyth on his back end, the bowl wanting to break under the Australian bowl to count, and it will. It's breaking into the head now. It's a good bowl by Ali Forsyth. So we'll see now Sheriff play his last bowl, and no doubt, I imagine he'll reach, which he's so good at doing, reach up on his forehand, and that's what he's doing. Reach up to the counting bowls and see if he can get some movement on the 2 bowls. Barry Lester jumps into the head, as he always does, as we know. We watch this bowl now breaking down towards the head, trying to get to the Forsyth or the New Zealand bowl. indication is from Andrew Kelly that it's just the one to New Zealand. Definitely was 3 prior to that bowl. As we watch the Forsyth bowl now breaking into the head. Looks on a pretty good line. Just how's the weight as it comes in? Just have to get underneath the bowl of Sheriff. Does not.
Yeah, Barry Lester indicating just the one, but Andrew Kelly wants to have a measure just to make sure. A new member of this men's triple. Or rather, Jamie Hill, the new member, of course. Andrew Kelly been very influential throughout the multi-nations, but having Jamie Hill now as a teammate, it's the second time Hill's been playing with this.
Andrew Kelly, I think, is claiming 2.
Yeah, I think only one's been added to the scoreboard, though, by Aaron Sheriff. So I think they just decided on one. In the end, 1 apiece it is, after 2 now of the 18 ends in this men's triples encounter. This is the first session of the third and final Trans-Tasman test here from the Broadbeach Bowls Club on Australia's Gold Coast. Unfortunately for the men, dead rubber, third and final test after dropping the first 2. The women, though, have everything to play for after they won the first test at Club Helensvale 4-2. They drew in the end 3 apiece. It was 2 wins apiece and a couple of draws, but differential 3 shots the difference. And I think the game we broadcast, Kevin, in the end was the vital one as far as differential went there. The New Zealand women's pair of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards going down by a big margin in the end. That proved costly, unfortunately, for New Zealand. So all to play for the women, and we will be broadcasting a couple of matches of theirs today, the 4s and the triples in the second and third sessions today.
So we saw the first bowl of Jamie Hill's pull up short of the head, and we'll now see Jamie Hill with his second bowl. As Ali Forsyth kindly just moved away. How's the weight on this bowl? And this has been one of, I'd say, the New Zealand failings is the number of short bowls played. Certainly hasn't helped their cause at all. And that I refer to in both the men and ladies. And Sharon Sims, in talking to Brenton yesterday afternoon, remarked about the lack of bowls really on the head, effective bowls on the head, and looking for an improvement in that area.
Yeah, well, that was certainly the case in their first round match, where they went down in the 4s, and they bounced back in the triples in the second session, the women's triple, and then had a draw. Unfortunately, they were holding shot down 1 playing the final end, and Caitlin Inch played a drive, tried to make it 2. Of course, they knew the situation with differential, that a draw wasn't good enough for them. And unfortunately, Caitlin Inch's drive went well under the line.
Yeah, you're trying to play a cannon shot to make a couple of it and create the win. As we watch this bowl of Aaron T's, Australian holding 3 shots, New Zealand not a bowl within, at this stage, within about 6 feet of the jack. So Andrew Kelly, he'll try and amend with this second bowl on this, the third of 18 ends. He's certainly got a better arc on the bowl as it breaks down towards the head. How's the weight? Is it going to get all the way down? This is a good recovery by Andrew Kelly. Won't quite get there. Will still be 2 down, but on a good line and pulled up a couple of feet short of the jack.
Yeah, so Andrew Kelly with we'll call him the pure white bowls, while Jamie Hills have some black specks, or more pronounced black specks. That's another great bowl from Aaron Tees into this Australian men's triple. Toucher, low 5 from Aaron Sheriff as skip, who now makes his way to the mat alongside Ali Forsyth. Forsyth stopping halfway down, though, to assess the head, see what it looks like from there, see what his options are. Doesn't have too many because of those 3 extremely short bowls, and then Andrew Kelly's the best bowl. rather short too.
No, I think we'll see Forsyth play with that yard and a bit of reaching weight to try and get up to what is the third shot, the bowl of Ali Forsyth, of Andrew Kelly's. It looks as though he's going quicker than that. This looks to be on the big charge. That's the bowl he's aiming for. All right, it's on its way, getting down to it now, and unfortunately got his own bowl out clean and nothing else.
He was hoping to slice off that one, wasn't he? And then cannon into the front Australian bowl, and then that could have gone into the other two, and all kinds of damage could have happened.
So New Zealand will be 5 down after this bowl of Aaron Sheriff's. They certainly are. I don't think that there's much option for Ali Forsyth other than to try and drive and kill the head. Someone moving again, which has been a bit of an issue for the players, actually.
I think you were right, actually, Kevin, before about Andrew Kelly believing it was 2, and they have put 2 up on the board as well. So New Zealand actually are leading going into this end, but they're not going to be after this. He's got rid of 1, so 4 to Australia, and Aaron Sheriff still has a bowl to play, which is the concerning thing.
Yeah, well, I'll safely put that down now as a counter. And, that all came about, as we know, Brendan, what we were just talking about is the bowls on the head scenario. Makes it very, very difficult in 2-bowl triples when you sort of have ineffective bowls, although Andrew Kelly did have what was third shot. See, Ali Forsyth shaking his head.
This doesn't even have to be a great bowl from Aaron Sheriff to make it 5. They know that's good enough. They don't even have to wait for it to stop. In fact, Barry Lester doesn't, kicks it away. And that is 5 for Australia. 6-2, they now lead after 3 of the 18 ends. Men's triples action we're bringing to you here in this first session of the third and final Trans-Tasman Test. Men's blackjacks trying to restore some pride.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed at that end, and both Jamie Hill and Andrew Kelly with 3 short bowls, they'll be disappointed with that, and they now just got to go back and concentrate on getting it better. I'm sure they will. We know that Jamie Hill, very, very good draw player, but if you do pay the price, if you fall short against these Australian players who are very, very, very tidy players.
Now, my apology to Alex and to you, Kevin. I actually was looking at the wrong scoreboard, so it was only 1 to New Zealand on that second end. My apologies. I was looking at the other scoreboard and the men's pairs, which I can tell you now after 3 ends, New Zealand leading 3-1. 3 of 18 ends in the men's pairs. That's, of course, Gary Lawson and now Chris Lalieve. And they'll be playing Aaron Wilson and Corey Wedlock. A bit of a change there for the Australian men's pairs. We also have the women's pairs and women's triples in action. And, of course, their Trans-Tasman series well and truly alive. And in the triples, Australia leading 4-3 after 3 of the 18 ends. And the pairs, I think, the change to the scoreboard has been made. And New Zealand off to a good start there, 5-1 after 3 ends of the women's pairs. We also have a couple of over 60s men's matches, which we'll endeavour to bring you updates with along with the games on green number 3. And behind us, we've got the 4 development matches, men and women, and the women's over 60s matches, of course. And each session of play in the Trans-Tasman series, 12 matches across the open, development, and over 60s. And we'll keep you up to date with all 11 matches outside of the ones we are broadcasting.
So we're underway, and Barry Lester has drawn just in behind the jack. And Jamie Hill's first bowl was a pretty handy bowl as well. And the second, not sure where there's the second bowl, jack over the other side of the head.
Yeah, just to the right leg of Ali Forsyth where he was standing in the previous shot. Andrew Kelly quickly on the mat.
2 down, New Zealand. So watch this bolt of Andrew Kelly's now breaking towards the head. This is a good A good attempt by Andrew Kelly. He's going to sit on the bowl, and that'll make shot. Well played by Andrew Kelly. That sits behind the head. With 2 down. Here is Aaron Tees. Very, very accomplished player. The man from Marilla. And straight away draws back the shot. And it's that consistency that they bring off the front. So Ellie Forsyth indicating that this bowl may be narrow unless he gets to the jack, and he's just going to slide under the jack. 1 down is New Zealand as the skips change over on this, the 4th end, with Australia leading 6 shots to 1.
Yeah, interesting that Australia have made this change with Aaron Tees coming into their triple. Maybe just a bit of experimentation. Obviously, they've got the men's Trans-Tasman wrapped up. A very comfortable position they are. They've won 9 out of the 12 matches to date in this men's Trans-Tasman, which is obviously going to help massively for the overall. I think Australia have about a 12 match advantage in the overall. That's combining the Open, the development, and the over 60s. So Australia very much in control of that as well.
So here is Ali Forsyth now. He'll play on his backhand, going for the bowl. That's going to be wide of the bowl. He just got the back of the bowl. It looked as though it had gone by. He got the back of the bowl.
Worked out perfectly in there.
Yeah, I got the sense, Brendan, that might have been a bowl of sheer frustration, actually.
Well, he's had to play those kind of runners nearly every end.
Absolutely.
Especially last end.
As we watch this bowl of Aaron Sheriff's now, is it going to break all the way? And the indication is that's the shot, in fact, by the Australian Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson. So Ali Forsyth on the charge again, trying to get rid of this yellow bowl of Australia, and he does just that. And New Zealand will score 2. Good comeback there by the New Zealand skip.
Yeah, certainly. A great couple of bowls by Ali Forsyth. Maybe a touch lucky with his first to just get that feather on the Australian shot bowl to knock it away, but wonderfully executed with his second. So after 4 of 18 ends, it's now 6-3. Australia leading in this men's triples contest. It's 3-all after 4 ends of the men's pairs and the women's pairs. New Zealand leading 5-1 still after 3. And after 3 ends of the women's fours, Australia 4-3. Women's triples, excuse me. And we will have women's triples in our 3rd and final session of the day, which may be a very crucial match, or most likely will be a very crucial match in the women's Trans-Tasman. Of course, it's a tester piece. Been very close fought. The women yesterday in the second Trans-Tasman test, it was 2 wins apiece and a couple of draws. In the end, only shot differential could separate the two sides.
So good opening bowl by Jamie Hill on this, the 15. Draws just alongside the jack. And Barry Lester playing his first. It's going to be under the head. You don't see that very often. And the Lester bowl ran about a metre, in fact, under the head. Here's Jamie Hill, the tall New Zealand player, on his backhand, with New Zealand trailing 6-3 and a shortened up length ahead. There's a good looking bowl as well from Hill. He's going to get the jack. He gets the jack to touch her on it.
Yeah, well, 2 good bowls from Jamie Hill. We mentioned before about a few ends with poor heads for collection from the leads. This time, great start from Jamie Hill. You can't ask for much better than that.
No, perfectly right on line, sitting alongside the jack. And, of course, we know that the Australians are more than capable of drawing in there, but the point is, as long as you got the bowls there on the head, you've certainly got the chance. So Ali Forsyth saying to Andrew Kelly, You play down on your backhand, try and rest on New Zealand bowl, which one roll on that could push this Australian bowl out of the head and leave us line 3. So here's the Kelly bowl now breaking into the head. How's the width of this as it comes down towards the head? And that's a great bowl actually by Andrew Kelly. Gets an applause from Ellie Forsyth. Just tipped the bowl in the Jamie Hill bowl. Just tipped it in slightly closer to the jack. So we watch Aaron Tees now. Aaron Sheriff likes this. It's getting down towards the jack. Is it going to get all the way to the jack? Yes, it does. Touch her, sits alongside it.
They've got such an embarrassment of riches, don't they? With the 3 Aarons, 3 absolute genuine shot makers, all comfortable playing as skips. And you're able to have Aaron Tees as the lead in pairs, as he was in the first 2 Trans-Tasman tests, now playing as number 2 in the triples. A great asset to have.
Great attempt here by Andrew Kelly. Rested and pushed the bowl. Didn't quite push it far enough. Well-weighted plot. The big thing which they're able to do, Brenton, they do it continuously, and the pace of these greens suit them ideally for it, is that they don't lose or don't waste bowls. They're able to play those very effective weighted shots that just put pressure all that there. Look at that. They just trail the jack into that little nest there.
Aaron Tees again. Big high five for Aaron Sheriff, and well deserved from this young gun of Australian and world bowls. Already a superstar, not one in the making. He's already arrived, this young fella, Aaron Tees.
New Zealand then had 4 bowls within 12, 15 inches of the jack, or 18 inches of the jack, and you don't very often get in those situations where all of a sudden then one little feather touch the jack and you're 3 down. That's you just got to admire and respect the class of these guys as we watch this bowl of Ellie Forsyth just trying to get in out of the head, get a touch on. Well, he's moved one of the bowls out, which is fine, which just leaves it now 2 to Australia.
Yeah, great effort that from Ellie Forsyth. Couldn't have executed much better, and
played
touch
very,
unfortunate
very
really
well.
That the jack still stayed there. Expecting that jack to maybe spurt out to the right side towards that Jamie Hill bowl, the white bowl with the darker black specks on it than the Andrew Kelly bowl. There's Aaron Sheriff going to play towards the tee. Certainly looking for a bit of cover around the back.
Because Ellie Forsyth will play now on his forehand, and he'll come down playing down to the 2 yellow counting Australian bowls and endeavouring to get the jack. He'll be playing down that line to get under the jack line as it breaks down towards the head now. Coming down to try and get to the jack, and he's going to get the jack as well. Now that's a magnificent bowl by the New Zealand skip. Only had centimetres to work within to get down to those bowls, and did so. Barry Lester.
He's just trying to find the line. I think that's why he's standing right in the middle. He'll move. He'll realise that he's in the way of the camera there. He has moved out of shot now, but yeah, fantastic bowl from Ellie Forsyth. Two big ends from the New Zealand skip, trying to keep the Kiwis in it here. Aaron Sheriff will have the final say. Is he going to get a nice touch? No, he's not. So 1 down, says Aaron Tees. That's 1 for New Zealand. 6-4 now, the score after 5 of the 18 ends in this men's triples match. We also have men's pairs, women's pairs, and women's triples in progress in this first session of the 3rd and final Trans-Tasman test. I can tell you Australia now leading 5-3 after 5 ends of the men's pairs. That is the Chris Lalive and Gary Lawson combination up against Corey Wedlock and Aaron Wilson. And then we've got the New Zealand women's pair up 5-3 after 4 ends of their contest. And we'll give you an update shortly of the women's triples action as well. But New Zealand were involved in a quite tight start to that match, as we expect in those contests. 13 all draw it was in the 4s yesterday, and a narrow win for New Zealand in previous triples matches.
Great opening bowl by Jamie Hill on this, the 16, just drew down in front of the jack, and in that 15, New Zealand actually played the end very, very well, equally as well to the Australians. But the bowl from Ali Forsyth, that last bowl of his, had to change hands and play down to the jack and sit. It was a superb bowl, a real class bowl played by Forsyth, just controlled his weight to get to the jack. Sat on the bowl, as you watch now, Jamie Hill on the forehand, former Okahu Bay born and bred player. This bowl now breaks towards the head. There's another good bowl by Hill. In fact, will be a toucher. Draws it just flat onto the jack. Sits at 1 o'clock now, slightly jack high, but only about 12, 15 inches lower the jack. New Zealand holding 2.
Good couple of ends for the New Zealand lead, Hill.
Yes, the last couple of ends, he's found his line. And, as soon as you do that, of course, you start to put the pressure on the opposing lead, which we're duly seen. Just here, Barry Lester going by, and we'll see Andrew Kelly. The foot put down firmly by Ali Forsyth. Draw down in behind the head here. Will still count on your forehand. Andrew Kelly, who started his bowls at a little club called Pakaru, just out of 10 kilometres out of Oamaru. And this is a pretty handy bowl, going to slip by. And as I mentioned a couple of days back, nearly had the honour of being the youngest ever skip to win a New Zealand fours. He had all 4 of the players were around about 19, 20 years of age, and they were beaten by Rowan Brassey and Dwayne Cameron. I can't remember the other players in the team in the final. So been around a long time. Has Andrew Kelly, now based in Canterbury, but originally from Oamaru, and his parents have been over here, the trotting trainers, in fact, just out of Oamaru.
Yeah, still only 29 or 30 as well, Andrew Kelly, so while he's been around for a long time, still a young player in years.
It's well played by Andrew Kelly, but gets his first bowl over the head and then draws his second bowl just right in behind the jack. And that's a good head played by the New Zealanders. Firstly from Jamie Hill and then Andrew Kelly. And you can straight away see the difference, Brenton, can't you? Once you get control of the head, so to speak, the difference that it just makes as we see this bowl of Aaron Tees go wide and will go past, and as they change over, New Zealand now holding 3 shots.
It's the same score in the women's triples match after 5 of 18 ends, but it's 6-4 in New Zealand's favour. Women's triples match and the women's pairs match vital in this third and final Trans-Tasman test. Of course, a test apiece for the Blackjacks women and Jackaroos women. So a lot riding on this third and final test. Unfortunately for the Blackjacks men, they're already out of the reckoning for the men's Trans-Tasman title. But they've got a lot of pride to play for today. I want to show what they are capable of. This has been a good little fight back from New Zealand after dropping a 5.
So here now is Aaron Sheriff, Australian players down on their knees, watching this bowl breaking towards the head. Is it going to get past the front bowl of Australia? No, it's not. It rests on top of it. So there's a great opportunity here, Brendan, for New Zealand to really put the pressure on Australia. As we see now, Ali Forsyth will stay out on that wide side and go to the back bowls. New Zealand definitely holding 2. Can't quite see with the third one of Ali Forsyth whether that may well be 3, but we'll see in a moment after this bowl of Aaron Sheriff's.
Yeah, slightly obscured by Aaron Tees. The Jacks actually placed right in front of the second white bowl closest to Tees before he moved.
Watching this bowl now break down towards the head, trying to play to the yellow bowl, turn it over. He does do that, but it'll still be New Zealand that will score.
Might just be 1 though now. So certainly 2. Now they're just checking whether it's 3. So that Sheriff Bowl. His last might have cut the count to just 2. So New Zealand were holding 3. That answers your question from earlier, Kevin. Now, Andrew Kelly doing the honours, the measure to that Ellie Forsyth black and white spec bowl. Now we'll come forward to the Sheriff Bowl.
3 it is.
3. So 3 for New Zealand. And they take the lead after 6 ends of 18. A third of the way through this men's triples contest. And they lead 7-6. So great fight back after dropping a 5 on, what was it, the third end, Kevin?
Yes, it was. Yes.
To go 6-1 down.
Oh, it's a good comeback. It's good to see. You know, we've seen the good thing. We've seen Jamie Hill dictate with his 2 bowls off the front, as we see Hill now playing down on the backhand. Short and length head. How's the weight? This is where we start to get these bowls up and around the jack, which we did done on the last 3 consecutive ends. Put the pressure on Barry Lester, the Australian lead, who will now play on his forehand. 7-6 New Zealand leading after 6 of 18 ends. Looks as though we're going to see the bowl of Lester's go on the narrow side, and it does. So Jamie Hill now, he'll come down again, trying to draw inside is that yellow bowl of Barry Lester's, which is Jack Lowe. Ellie Forsyth taking an interest in this bowl as it breaks down towards the head. He likes this one as it comes down towards the jack, going to sit parallel right alongside the jack at jack level. This is good stuff at the moment, Brenton. They're certainly, they're getting the bowls around the head, and that's...
Yeah, well, they had that one very poor end, and I suppose you say you can't afford to have those slip-ups at this level, but the way they've picked themselves up after that, they've won the last 6 shots.
I know they play and keep this momentum up. We're in for a cracker of a game, I can assure you, as we watch the bowl of Barry Lester just draw towards the jack. Ellie Forsyth signals to Andrew Kelly. We're still holding the 1 as Kelly with the black socks and blue sneaker bowls shoes plays down on his backhand. Got a really silk delivery, has Andrew Kelly. And this is going to get a feather and come in behind the head. Was the recent winner with Nathan Glasson of the Stake Invitation Pairs, the $20,000 pairs. They were the winners in that event. Played exceptionally well. Beating Andre Smith of Marlborough. Very good, accomplished player. Of course, last year was outstanding in the Intercentre representing Canterbury, who went on to win the Intercentre.
It was earlier this year, in fact, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It feels like a while ago. Obviously, you've called a lot of bowls since then, Kevin.
It's been a few. That's all right. I enjoy it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, why not? Especially when you get to come to places like this.
Yes.
It's been beautiful weather all 10 days. We have not had a drop of rain.
It's been magnificent weather right throughout.
It's rather hot conditions here again. And unless that wind picks up, Kevin, I think we could be in for a bit of a sweltering day.
Yeah, I think so,
inside
Brendan.
the tent here.
We on the day of the finals on Sunday, of course, we were in here all day, and it's certainly that when the final of the men's triples was on, it was like our own sauna in here. That's for sure. It was really, the heat was really belting in.
Yeah, it certainly was. For the final day of the multi-nations. And the men's triple, of course, skipped by Ellie Forsyth, did win the gold. New Zealand's only gold of the multi-nations. Of course, this is a slightly different triple from that which won gold, with Jamie Hill coming in to replace
Good
Chris
bowl.
Lalive.
Bowl by Ellie Forsyth just in behind. So Sheriff will play up, trying to get contact onto one of those 2 Australian front bowls, turn it into the head. He's got a bowl as well, sitting in a catching position just over jack level and he gets the jack, and that's better for New Zealand actually, because he flicked the jack actually around the corner.
Could be 2 for New Zealand, perhaps.
Forsyth looking to see whether it's 1 or 2.
Certainly 1. And it's just whether that black bowl of his is closer, or the bowl is just behind the shot bowl of Australia is the second.
Big thing here for Ali Forsyth, which he would be only too well aware of. He doesn't want to give Aaron Sheriff a shoulder on either hand, because Sheriff will play with reaching weight, and you don't want to give him extra bowls to work off. So Forsyth has gone out on that wider side, which is fine, trying to get down to the drawing spot. It's going to come up short. Doesn't really give Sheriff a lot to work off. I think we'll see Sheriff try and play with weight. If we just wait there for, so where Aaron tees to move, I think the shot you'll see him play is trying to play onto the very front yellow bowl, dislodge the New Zealand bowl out of the head and try and get some movement on the jack. And that's the way how they look to be assessing how they're going to play this head.
Yeah, hopefully that for them that the jack would perhaps move up to the right-hand side of the screen.
That's what they're hoping for. And they'd have to play with that very precise weight on these greens here today, and they have to get that movement. Barry Lester, hands on knees, looking down on it, going for to get down to the bowl. Will he touch the jack? And that will only be one now, because it touched the jack, in fact, back towards the Australian bowls.
So 1 to New Zealand, extending their lead. 8-6 it is now after 7 of the 18 ends in this men's triples. It's the first session of the third and final Trans-Tasman Test. We're proud to bring you from Broadbeach Bowls Club on Australia's Gold Coast.
I can tell you the New Zealand women's pairs, I think it's now them leading 10-3.
11-3 it is now,
11-3.
So just picked up another shot. So after 6 ends there, it's looking good for New Zealand. Of course, the women's pair yesterday, well and truly humbled, going down, I think, was it 24-13, I think, from memory?
Something like that it was, Brenton, yeah, so there's a good fight back. And Jamie Hill, first bowl, runs jack level and will sit about a metre on the jack level side as we watch now Barry Lester. He also looks to be on that wider side, and it's going to go by. So here's a chance for Jamie Hill again to control the head, as he does on his forehand, trying to get as close as he can to the jack. New Zealand leading 8-6 after 7 of 18 ends of this Trans-Tasman triples on day 3 here in the Broadbeach Bowls Club. Very good bowl there from Jamie Hill, draws inside his own, sits now just alongside the jack at jack level. Here's Lester, the forehand, the well accomplished Australian lead, and will no doubt be part of their World Bowls team, one would imagine.
Yeah, well, I don't imagine any changes to this men's lineup, do you, for World Bowls, the 5 that we've seen over the 3 days of this Trans-Tasman?
Yeah, I'm picking that this will be their 5, Brenton. Whether it's the same 5 in the women, I'm not sure. Of course, Karen Murphy's now out of the equation. And, but one would think with Kelsey Cottrell, Natasha Scott, Rebecca Van Ash, bowl here from Kelly, just going to slide by, you know, those, and possibly Lindsay Clark. Well, there's 4 players there who are truly seasoned internationals, and then we've got the newer or the lesser experienced international player, Chloe Stewart, who they brought into this Trans-Tasman.
Yeah, I suppose they've got an embarrassment of riches, don't they, the Australian women? We've got Carla Krasanik, who withdrew late, I think, for personal reasons from this Trans-Tasman. She was actually meant to be playing instead of Lindsay Clark. Then you've got Ellen Ryan, Christina Christic, all players, I think, who would be considering themselves maybe in contention for the singles spot for Australia, because they've obviously not 100% sure on that. We had Chloe Stewart playing the first 2 matches of the Trans-Tasman in the women's singles. Now they've moved Kelsey Cottrell in. We'll see who plays in the second session today, whether it is Kelsey Cottrell again. But certainly a few decisions to be made for the Australian women, but really it's an embarrassment of riches. It's not exactly like they're wondering and trying to find 5 players. They've got, well, a lot more than 5 players.
And I forgot, of course, about Carla Krajancic, who is, again, another player who's played a number of internationals for Australia, played at Commonwealth Games, World Bowls. So I imagine that would be well in the frame for the World Bowls team. But however, I agree with you, Brendan, the 5 guys that are playing out here, I'm pretty sure that'll be the 5 that we'll see here in 2020.
Yeah, with Nathan Rice retiring, I think
Correct.
it's made that decision a bit easier. You obviously got likes of Ray Pearce, Ben Twist, also players in the mix, but I still don't think they're quite at the same level as the Australian 5 we've got here.
I don't think they bring the same dominance that these guys bring, and also, again, the shot selection and weight control that these guys can play with on these greens here in Australia certainly makes them a very, very formidable combination.
Well, 4 of the 5 are pure shot makers, aren't they?
They certainly
Leicester's
are.
an out-and-out lead.
Certainly.
And then when you've got Wedlock and the 3 Aarons, Wilson, Tees and Sheriff, just absolutely, that's that 4 of the best shot makers in world bowls.
Absolutely they are. As we see now, Sheriff on the drive, New Zealand holding 2, looks to be under the head. And we'll get one of the New Zealand bowls. And Australian bowl also goes to the back, but Ali Forsyth, he'll just be trying to draw another one in behind the head. New Zealand leading 8 shots to 6, 8 shots to 6 after 7 of the 18 ends. And they went through a couple of struggle ends early on, this New Zealand triples team, but they've come back pretty well. Andrew Kelly encourages bowl of Ali Forsyth in towards the head, and it's going to sit on the back of the bowl. That's a good bowl from Forsyth. That will count.
Yeah, it should be 2. New Zealand are holding now, so this has been good work from New Zealand, really putting the pressure on Sheriff now. Apart from that third end when Australia picked up a 5, New Zealand have been pretty impressive in this
Sheriff
contest.
on the draw, trying to get to the jack or the bowl, played with just what you were talking about a moment ago, Brendan, about them being shot players. We just saw then Aaron Sheriff just play with that controlled weight up to the New Zealand shot bowl, pushes it out of the head, 1 to Australia. And New Zealand can play those shots as well, the Gary Lawsons, Shannon McElroy, Ali Forsyth, but it's the abundance of these that they've got with these players.
Yeah, and you've mentioned it time and time again about Sheriff. There might not be any player with better weight control, possibly only Alex Marshall in the world of men's bowls. And Sheriff just displaying that right there to perfection. Down 2, picks up the shot, and now after 8 of the 18 ends, just 1 shot the difference. New Zealand 8, Australia 7. It's 6 apiece after 8 ends of the men's pairs. As we mentioned a bit earlier, 11-3 after 6 ends of the women's pairs, and after 7 ends of the women's triples, New Zealand leading 7-5. So New Zealand up in 3 of the 4 contests and level on one of the other. So going well so far in this first session of open competition of the 3rd and final Trans-Tasman Test here at Broadbeach Bowls Club.
Now, as we see the first bowl of Barry Lester's just go by about a metre, so Jamie Hill now quickly into his work, the New Zealand lead, and this is going to run by as well. The jack's been lengthened up considerably. That'll be shot though. Bit of wind getting up here at present, but
I'm loving it.
So it is nice actually. The jack just a couple of feet out from the 2 metre mark.
Well, perhaps cool down the gear as well.
Yeah, which got sizzling the other day. Here's now Barry Lester playing his second bowl on this, the 9th at the halfway mark of this game, and will just sit on the Jamie Hill bowl, or alongside the Jamie Hill bowl. So Hill now again, his backhand. And as we said yesterday, one of the father and son combinations to have played for New Zealand. Father Neville played for New Zealand back in the 70s, 80s. As we see Jamie Hill draw the shot. Scoglins, Baldwins are some that spring to mind who father and sons have represented New Zealand. As we watch this bowl just come down to the jack and sit alongside it, the bowl of Aaron Tees and Andrew Kelly. He'll follow that bowl up on his backhand. Get a rest on that bowl.
Yeah, I didn't quite realise how much of a bowls family they are. You mentioned Jamie's sister and son, I think.
That's right,
yeah.
yes, the young fella, yeah, they're all. As we see Kelly trying to get a touch on the jack, not to be. Yeah, as I say, Neville yesterday, he must have played for 7 or 8 centres around New Zealand as he's moved around the country with the family and represented. He's won inter-centre titles in most of those centres that is, and now in fact he's the current Auckland selector.
Oh wow!
Needless to say, Jamie's in the side.
13-3 it is now in the women's pairs, so going very well for Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce up against Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart. 7 ends played of the 18.
So Andrew Kelly now, New Zealand down on the head. Kelly will be playing, trying to reach that bowl on the backhand. The shot bowl looks to be a wider line this time as it breaks down towards the head. How far is it going to come back? It's not. Ellie Forsyth gives it the look, the hand look. You're not up. It's going to happen. It can happen. So New Zealand, they've still got only the one down, and they've certainly got bowls to play to on the head. Dislodge the bowl or move the jack. There's a New Zealand bowl sitting just in behind the head. Ellie Forsyth got the real Kojak look today. No cap, nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope he's just forgotten it and someone's going to go retrieve it for him because I think it's a bit dangerous. Certainly Mike Kernahan would not be a fan of that.
No, Mike Kernahan would have made him get a hat on. That you can be assured of. Mike Kernahan, part of the New Zealand squad, also the CEO of the New Zealand Cancer Society based in Wellington. And looks as though we're going to see Forsyth going to play with real reaching weight down to the counting bowl. Andrew Kelly's down looking at it. Has to break now or otherwise it'll get the gap. We'll get them both. Well, it only got one. Got the outside bowl, just the one down. Playing for both of the bowls there was Andrew Kelly. Get the split onto one, onto the other. Aaron Sheriff quickly into his work on his backhand, holding the shot. Looks as though it's going to come down under the centre line. As long as it doesn't sit on the Jamie Hill bowl, we don't want it to do that. And it does, and we'll make 2 of it. I'm sure it will still see. Ali Forsyth will still be trying to get down to get to the jack. He may not play with the same weight, but he will certainly be endeavouring to get down to the jack, 2 down on the head. And he's going to go with more weight, in fact. I think he's going to go full at it, and he's going with a lot more weight, in fact. And he's on there. He's going to get his own. And will be 3 down. I'm surprised he played that hand.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out at all well. As Aaron Tees just making sure it wasn't 4. So it is 3 to Australia. 10-8 they now lead. Halfway through this men's triples contest. 9 of the 18 ends completed. And Australia reclaim the lead after a good little run from New Zealand. They were 6-1 down early after they dropped up 5 on the third end to New Zealand. A really scrappy end from them. Pretty easy 5 really for Australia. Didn't have to do much apart from draw to the jack.
Just first you had to get on the green. That's about it. And, 2 behind, a long way to go, halfway. But it's a matter of making sure that we don't gift shots to Australia.
Yeah, and sometimes in that situation, perhaps you can be, you obviously like to see the positive shot all the time, but sometimes maybe the better option is just try and draw there for the second, is it, Kevin?
Well,
and drop the 1, and then you're 8 all?
Well, when I actually thought then that Ali Forsyth, I actually thought he was going to play with less weight, as I said, because trying to get down to try and either sit on one of the Australian bowls or get a touch on the jack. And of course, the other thing which he did, which did surprise me, he changed his hand. And he changed his hand to the side of the green, which exposed the New Zealand bowl, where on the other side of the head, the New Zealand bowl wasn't actually exposed. But playing on the other hand, the New Zealand bowl was exposed, and duly he dislodged the New Zealand bowl and dropped a 3. So sometimes I think it's just better to try and save rather than blast. And here we have Australian straight away. Barry Lester get a touch on the jack. 2 down. But there's that opportunity down here for Jamie Hill to sit on the shot bowl. He's going to trying to get to slow down. Is Ali Forsyth is going to go past by a good couple of metres. But there is now the opportunity for New Zealand to change hands and try and get down under the yellow bowl, get to the jack. Just play down with that reaching weight. Aaron tees. Aaron Sheriff likes this bolt. Just breaks down towards the head. And it's going to finish in front now. Now we can't play that hand. We'll have to go back to the Jamie Hill hand and try and get a split on the draw in between those 2 yellow bowls. As long as you up to the head, sit on one of those. Here's Kelly on his backhand. Question the weight. How's the weight going to be as it gets to the line? Ali Forsyth looking at it, just going to dip under. Only the 2 down though. He cut one shot out. And now we can attack with a wee bit more weight, possibly, Brendan, because we have secured the back and got another bowl on the head.
Tees jogging in after this one, playing on his backhand side. Looks on a decent line. Is it going to roll around the back? It should be enough for potentially a third.
Going for that drive by the look as Kelly Forsyth said, go for the front bowl. You could get all 3 and the jack. So, Andrew Kelly wiping his hands, getting the sweat. Getting the sweat off them. Looks as though he's going to drive full power. And he is coming down to try and get to these county and Australian bowls. Goes right outside the head, gets nothing.
Yeah, Ali Forsyth immediately, I think a bit of a grumble from him as he saw the line that came out from Andrew Kelly.
Well, as you can see, we can't see them both on the camera, Brenda, but there's one New Zealand bowl here at the back and there's another one down behind the number there. So there you can see them now, those 2 New Zealand bowls sitting right back on the ditch. And Forsyth trying to get that contact so as to get the jack into the ditch.
Kelly there still struggling with the sweat on his hands. He was just trying to get some sand from the ditch, I think, to try and dry out those hands, as that has not worked out at all well from Aaron Sheriff.
Still be 3.
Yeah, it will, but a big target now if he can make his way around. Ali Forsyth, looks like he's going to play with weight.
Going to drive the 3 bowls. That's the plan. Drive the 3, get the triangle, gets 1. Because the problem is he can't see the jack, Brenton, to get down to play it down to the head. But I just question now whether 2 down. Let's see what happened to this bowl of Aaron Sheriff. He won't want to give Ali Forsyth a shoulder.
Yeah, of course, if Ali Forsyth hadn't been quite so narrow there and got the front one, could have taken out all 3.
Absolutely. They were sitting there like on a triangle. Just it's easy from where we're sitting. But that was obviously what he was aiming for, to try and get, and would have got all 3.
Not far away was Ali Forsyth. He's going to get one more bowl. It's just trying to cover these back bowls. There's Aaron Sheriff. That's a fair effort, sitting right in behind those 2 New Zealand bowls.
Well, it looks from here, Brendan, that he has to get both of those bowls without getting the New Zealand bowl, because there's another bowl which would come into the account there from Australia. And I just wonder whether he's better to try and play down to the jack, trying to get the jack. If we get the jack into the ditch down there, he can make 3 of it. But still a very, very hard shot to get to the jack.
Yeah, certainly. It's a draw. You're trying to say pretty much, well, obviously play with a bit of weight, but with coming on the draw, get the jack because you've got to come round those short yellow bowls. Very difficult.
The other Australian bowl just cuts the other hand off for Forsyth to be able to play down to the jack. So
I think he might be playing with weight here. A bit of a wind-up on the mat from Ellie Forsyth. No.
So he sent it out on that draw line, trying to get all the way back to count, but will it come all the way back? No, it won't. And that'll be 2 more to Australia.
So 12-8, their lead now, Australia, after 10 of the 18 ends in this men's triples contest. Can tell you now, after 10 ends in the men's pairs, it's all tied up, 7 apiece. So a very tight contest going on there between the Chris Lalive, Gary Lawson combination and the Corey Wedlock, Aaron Wilson combination. In the women's pairs, New Zealand in command, 13-4. Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce up against Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart. And in the women's triples, it is New Zealand leading 10-5 after 8 of the 18 ends in that contest as well. And shortly, hopefully, Alex can get an opportunity to find out the scores behind us on the other green. Could probably just turn around, couldn't I? That's another option. But especially the if Alex can find out what's happening in the men's over 60s as well on this green. We can't quite see the scoreboard there on green number 4. That would be very, very handy. So looking behind me, we've got the development men's triples and development men's pairs. And the triples, Australia leading 12-6 after 12 ends. And the pairs, Australia leading 17-8 after 10 ends. And then we've got the development women's triples and pairs. And the triples, Australia leading 13-4 by the looks of things. And we also have the development women's pairs. And can't quite see that scoreboard. Then we also have the over 60s women's triples and pairs, and Australia leading both of them 11-5 and 9-6. So Australia in the green behind us, green number 3 here at Broadbeach in control. Of course, the overall Trans-Tasman title, combining all 3 of the open, development, and also over 60 squads. They're still up for grabs. Australia, though, must be said, in control, Kevin, after 2 tests.
Oh, they certainly are, Brenton, and they've certainly, over those first 2 days, the 5 male players have certainly been dominant, really. We've won, I think it's 3 games, won 2 on the first. So they have been dominant, there's no doubt about that, and it's really about the ability that these players bring with their shot selection, their weight control, and the consistency of effective bowls around the head. That's the key point of which they're doing, and we haven't got that same consistency right now.
And the over 60s men's as well. I can let you know, Robbie's stuck his head round the corner. And the triples, Australia leading 12-7 after 9 of the 18 ends. And in the pairs, pretty tight contest going on. 7-6 Australia over New Zealand after 9 of the 18 ends. Big thank you to Robbie, who's joining Alex as our roving reporter around the greens.
Just see a great bowl there from Andrew Kelly. We're 2 down on the head, and Kelly came through the port and just dragged the jack back a couple of feet. New Zealand line holding 1. And of course, this broadcast that we're bringing to you, we couldn't be done with the great work that Ben, Robbie, and Alex here put together, all the work that they do. Erin back in New Zealand, they put all of, Brenton and I sort of sit here and make a noise, and they do all the good things and make sure that they can bring you this wonderful broadcast and coverage back in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's incredible. Such a small team managed to put on such a big production like this. Yeah, like you say, Kevin, we've got the easy job. We just talk.
New Zealand still holding one as Aaron Sheriff played his first bowl on this, the 11th of 18 ends. Ali Forsyth now with the sunglasses and no cap, playing down, trying to reach on to the Aaron Sheriff bowl, but he's going to be very, very narrow and go right across the head. And of course New Zealand won't want to lose this bowl out of the head, because if I look around, Australia have got the next 1, 2, 3, but I don't think it's a shot that Aaron Sheriff can really play to get to the bowl. I think he'll just play down on that draw line again, just trying to get down to the shot bowl or the jack. So here's Sheriff now on his backhand on the mat. It's on its way. Club Helensvale player, formerly of New South Wales. Now, of course, here in Queensland, and he's certainly playing with weight. He's certainly trying to get to the bowl he was, or the jack, not to be. And New Zealand holding the shot. So Ali Forsyth now just to draw out to those counting the second and third shot, yellow Australian bowls, and he can make 2 of it. New Zealand definitely holding 1 shot. As it breaks down towards the head now, this bowl of Forsyth, and it's got to be careful here, and touches the jack on the narrow side, pushes it into the Australian bowl, and once again, that's 1 to Australia. And as I said earlier, there's been a number of occasions in both the multi-nations and the Trans-Tasman where we have got the narrow side of the jack, and with weight on the draw, and pushed it towards the opposition bowls.
And it's again, Kevin, this middle period of the 18 ends where it's gone wrong for New Zealand. They did lead 8-6. Now I think it's 4 straight ends Australia has scored on.
Certainly is. They've scored seven shots over this last 4 ends. Of course, New Zealand, in fact, we were leading 8-6. We were leading. And we've now seen Australia move out convincing. Well, not convincing. There's still a lot of ends to go, but they've got that 5-shot buffer with a 3, a 2, a 1 and a 1.
Alex is just giving an update, and it'll certainly be a bit better than my one. And I was trying to creak my neck around to try and find out what was happening behind us. So quick opportunity to do that for you. And the men's development triples, 6-12 down after 12 ends. Men's development pairs, 17-8 down after 10. Women's development triples, 13-4 down after 10. Women's development pairs, 10-7 up after 10. Women's over 60s triples, 11-5 down after 11. Women's over 60s pairs, 9-6 down after 10. Men's over 60s triples, 9-12 down after 9. Men's over 60s pairs, 8-6 down after 10. So, work to do for a lot of the over 60s and development combinations. Of course, the women's development and women's over 60s, their Trans-Tasman is still alive because they both won the second tests at Musgrave Hill yesterday, Kevin. They were the bright spots for New Zealand, because if it wasn't for the women, it would have been pretty miserable reading, because the over 60s men, the development men, the open men, all lost, and especially when it was the open men, very convincingly.
Well, just a point with over 60s, a couple of players have spoken to me. As I see, Jamie Hill, very short bowl. We're going back to that short stuff again. Hopefully we get over that shortly. But a comment was made to me by a couple of players, and I think it's quite a valid comment, that 3 games, it's pretty tough out there in this. It's a long day in the heat, etc. For the over 60s, and because there's got to be enjoyment in it as well. And not that the players aren't enjoying it, but it's not a family picnic.
No, it certainly isn't. Long days. You're out there for almost 8 hours playing over the 3 sessions, and pretty hot, obviously, here on the Gold Coast. Yesterday we had some wind to cool the players off a bit, but certainly didn't have that on Monday at Club Helensvale, and we're not going to get much of it today. Only a light zephyr really coming across the green here. Not a factor at all. And the bowls being played.
But straight away we've put the pressure on ourselves on this, the 12th end, Brendan. Fortunately, Australia only got one on the jack, but the first two bowls of Jamie Hill's, they'd be, 8 feet short of the jack. And you just simply, against this sort of calibre of field, you just simply can't.
The great Peter Bellis watching on, of course, head coach now of the Blackjacks.
And getting a bit frustrated, I think, with some of the inconsistencies. You watch Andrew Kelly, well done, Andrew Kelly. He was down on the head, and we still haven't got a bowl, I can see, over the head. I don't know where the other bowler's gone to. New Zealand might be, it could be in the ditch. I can't see anywhere on the green. So New Zealand just the one down in this men's triples Trans-Tasman game as we come to the end 12 of 18 coming to completion.
Right, there it is. Just see it under the leg of the Australian player there, alongside the two Australian bowlers which are in the ditch as well and have been put on the back of the rink. So I'll also let you know, Kevin, that the women's pairs has tightened up a long way. I think New Zealand was 13-4 up. I think might have been the last update they gave you.
Yeah.
13-10 it is now after 10 of the 18 ends. So I think Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart have picked up a couple of big scores on the last couple of ends.
Well, it's Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce that have to get back into their game, because they certainly started off very well. As we watch this bowl of Ali Forsyth now trying to get down to the yellow Australian bowl and sit on it and make shot. He just goes past it and will just go into the ditch, into the sand here at Broad Beach. And there's Aaron Sheriff, the Australian Bowler of the Year, just in the recent awards ceremony. And of course, well deserved. His achievements on the green are simply outstanding. So Forsyth now, New Zealand got to get back into scoring mode. Ali Forsyth just went by on the draw. That's all he's got, is that draw. Backhand. One down on the head. This bowl now breaking down towards the head. Has to be outside the New Zealand short bowl. Not going to be. Runs into it. And another one to Australia. They now go 14-8. Remember, at end 7, we had New Zealand leading 8-6. 8-6. Here we are now at the completion of end 12. And Australia leading 14-8. And these are the things that we've been talking about, Brendan, from a New Zealand coach selector's point of view. We just got to get this out of our game somehow, and certainly haven't got Shannon McElroy here on this particular event, who no doubt when we come to the World Bowls, he will certainly be in the 5. And
he doesn't play in the triple though.
No, he doesn't.
He's not going to help the triple or the 4 out.
But Mike Kernahan does.
Yeah, although I think even by his own assessment, Mike Kernan wasn't overly happy with how he played at the Asia Pacific Champs.
No, he wasn't. He'd be the first to admit that. No, he certainly he wasn't. And I still think that when New Zealand won the World Championships in Christchurch in 2016, of course Kernahan played at number 2. He didn't lead, and he was absolutely outstanding at number 2 for New Zealand. He played magnificent in the final against Australia. And here's Jamie Hill. I think he's trying to run at the bowl with his very first bowl. Goes slipping by. And of course, he played in the 2016 Nationals. He played in the pairs with, in fact, with Shannon McElroy in the pairs. And they were a bronze medalist in the pairs. So Kernahan's certainly a player who will be, no doubt, in the selectors' frame.
Yeah, and I think, obviously he's unavailable for the multi-nations and the Trans-Tasman because of work commitments.
Yes.
And I suppose, the danger could have been there, that he could have given the opportunity to others, but I don't know if any of the others have really stepped up. Those being, I suppose players maybe contending for his position, Jamie Hill, Chris Lalive, and Andrew Kelly. I don't think you could say any of them.
Bowled here by Jamie Hill, moves the ball up, bowled outer in the jack around. Well,
they've all shown glimpses, but I don't think any of the three have said, I have to be in that team for the World Championships, have they?
I think no, but I think out of those, I think you could say that Crystal Eve would have been the most consistent because they did win the gold medal, of course, in those in the triples, and he's also swapped around here. He's played fours, triples, and pairs, and we all know that he moved into the pairs to try and sort of build some confidence back in the Gary Lawson combination.
Yeah, and Kelly was very good in the triples as well at the multi-nations.
He was very well.
And he's been moved into the four to, I suppose, try and prove himself, because as we know, he's not going to be playing singles like he did at the multi-nations at the World Champs with Shannon McElroy coming in. So the Blackjack selectors saying, well, we'll give him an opportunity in the four and see if he can push his case in the four.
So there's no doubt that I think that if you take Kernahan, Ali Forsyth, Shannon McElroy, Gary Lawson, I think that gives you 4. As we watch this bowl of Australia trying to sit out the New Zealand bowl, not quite. So if we're going to take the punt and say that those 4 will be in, well then it comes down to Jamie Hill, Crystal Eve, Andrew Kelly, I think, is the most likely 3 to make one.
Yeah, and then I suppose it's up to how they perform at the Nationals, and that becomes the big important event, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the National,
absolutely.
Somerset National Singles and Pairs in Christchurch from the 2nd to 8th of January. Another big selection event for these Blackjacks for the World Championships. Of course, we've got another Trans-Tasman to come, which Kevin mentioned earlier in the broadcast in February. But they would like to think by then they've got their squad set, and that's more a trial run for the World Championships rather than a selection trial for the World Championships.
You would think so. And then the women, I think you can say that you've got Joey Ridvell-Smith and Caitlin Inch, I would say, is certainties. Should be certainties. And then you've got Taylor Bruce, Selena Goddard, Kirsten Edwards, Wendy Jensen, could be others, I'm not sure, who would come into contention. Because remembering we did see Wendy Jensen and Kirsten Edwards here at the Asia Pacific, they acquitted themselves pretty well, a gold medal in the fours. So, there's still, I don't think the women's side at this stage, again, I still think there's a couple of spots off the front. The back end of the teams now, I think, is well catered for, and Caitlin Inch has certainly, I think, answered those questions very, very strongly.
Well, it's quite incredible, isn't it? Because just 2 days ago, we were talking about how much of a concern it was.
Certainly, absolutely.
And it's amazing how much things turned around, and that's because she's impressed everyone so much over the last couple of days. Of course, skipping a pretty new thing for her at international level, and she has thrived the last couple of days in the first 2 Trans-Tasman tests. Of course, Caitlin Inch skipping the women's triple and the women's 4, and a big reason why the women are still alive in the Trans-Tasman and the men aren't.
Well, I think now we're going to see, we could have a bit more trouble for New Zealand here, and I'm sure we're going to see Aaron Sheriff play down, try and dislodge that New Zealand bowl nestled in amongst the 4 Australian bowls, and he'll come down, and he's certainly doing that on his backhand with weight, trying to get to the New Zealand bowl. He's going to get the New Zealand bowl clean, got one of his own, but still left the next 3 bowls, I would say, as all Australian counting bowls. New Zealand only the 1 bowl on the head. This is what Brent and I have been talking about, and so this is why the door is open for players for selection. Brendan, here's Ali Forsyth going to come up very short.
Well, see how many it is. So he's just taken 1 away, isn't he, Andrew Kelly, at the moment. See if that white bowl of his is the second. He'll certainly hope it is. Well, it's not. The other yellow bowl he just went to would be the second. Now he's hoping that it might just be better than that bowl. So I think it's at least 2, potentially 3 for Australia. He's just trying to work out. So he's knocked out that one. And now he's coming back to this one. So it's 3 it is now for Australia. Just trying to work out whether it's 4. So another sloppy end.
It is another sloppy end. You're right there, Brenton, which is just so disappointing, so frustrating.
And unfortunately, Barry Lester obscuring us somewhat, so we can't actually see what Andrew Kelly is doing. Still trying to work out whether it is 4, 3 or 4. I think they might be getting an umpire.
Yes, they are, by the look of it. I see. Well, we can't see the peers board at this stage. I saw Gary Lawson.
Well, I can tell you, because I'm probably right in your viewpoint, Kevin. It's Australia 11, New Zealand 9 after 13 of the 18 ends. Only one shot now in the women's pairs. 13-12 it is after 11 ends. And also only one shot, in fact 2 shots in the women's triples after 11 ends, 12-10. New Zealand leading.
So a lot of work for our New Zealand selectors over the next couple of months trying to sort out certain parts of the team. And that's why, as Brenton rightly said, that the Somerset National Championships in Christchurch is so important. Now, Alex, are we going to see that? Where's the laser, Alex?
Yeah, well, I think this might have actually. This looks like it was the same gentleman who did have the laser.
He's got the building
other
tape.
days.
He's got the building tape again, Alex.
He brought the laser out at Club Helensvale, and then he gave up on the laser. This is the laser measure, which is the new thing in bowls. But look at this contraption.
This is
huge. This thing.
It is. This is bigger than the builder's tape, in fact, isn't it?
It's far bigger. A builder wouldn't carry this around. It's too bulky.
Yeah, this is real big. Alex, you might get the marketing rights for this particular measure.
Alex doesn't want a bar of it, he says. I've been given a lot of grief about that laser measure. It is certainly an exciting thing for bowls, but it wasn't a good advertisement for it in the first Trans-Tasman test where it seemingly failed.
This isn't the measure you sort of carry around your back pocket. What is it, Brenton, that this umpire's got out here?
Certainly not. He's very precise with his work, but he is taking some time. I think the players in some way are regretting going to the umpire and just saying, why don't we just sort this out ourselves?
He's loving this.
So we've already added 3 onto our scoreboard on this 13th end.
New Zealand's bowl.
So it is 3. So we got there in the end. So 17-8 it should be. And now, just checking with the umpire. Something, I'm not sure exactly. They got that right. Well, Andrew Kelly's actually only given 2 to Australia.
Yeah, I thought.
So actually only knocked away 2. So 16-8 will be the score.
So we go on that spree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive ends now where we haven't been able to score, which is frustrating for the New Zealand.
Yeah, they were up, was it 8-6, was it?
8-6 are leading after 7 ends.
That seems a long time ago now. The last 6 all been Australia.
And it comes back to, as you and I have spoken about, that consistency and building the head and getting bowls in and around the head, effective bowls as we've spoken about, Brenton, and it's the key.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple game.
So here we see the opening bowl from Barry Lester on this Ian 14 of 18. And that goes in behind the jack by about a metre. And we trust you're enjoying this broadcast that we're bringing to you back in New Zealand and wherever you may be watching this coverage. Of course, we'll be with you right throughout to the finish here of the third test later on this afternoon. And then in January, Brenton and myself will be in Christchurch, where we'll be bringing you the final stages of the all-important Somerset National pairs and singles, which will be held between January the 2nd and January the 8th around the greens of Christchurch. And we'll certainly be bringing you the final stages live right throughout of those events. As we watch now, Jamie Hillbolt break towards the jack as it got the weight. Ali Forsyth trying to urge it on, and will get closer up to the jack. It's half a metre of running on it.
Yeah, this is very much just the start of the summer of bowls, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a big year in front of us, Brenton. There's a lot of events that we'll be bringing. Of course, we've got the Inter-Centre later in the year as well from Wellington. And we've got the Somerset Fours.
North v South, National Secondary.
Yeah, and also, of course, with the second Trans-Tasman, which will be here in February. And then World Bowls, of course, are in later May. And at this stage, what the arrangements are for that is still in the sorting out stages.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to bring you this kind of coverage of the World Championships, of course, as the Blackjacks look to try and emulate what they did in 2016 in Christchurch.
Well, it's somewhat strange, and I know it's each time it's been in New Zealand, Brendan, 2008 and 2012. Both of those occasions with the New Zealand side building up to the World Championships, in fact, have sort of struggled a bit actually, and then come game time, we've actually picked up a host of medals. And of course, in 2016, we had the gold medal in the men's fours, of course, and we had the gold medal in the singles with Shannon McElroy. We had a couple of other medals as well in the men's pairs. Joe Edwards and Angela Boyd as silver in the women's pairs. So I'm still confident come World Championships that we'll be okay. We'll just matter of a lot of work to do for the selectors and coaches to make sure, as we watch Sheriff just run into a bowl, and Andrew Kelly signalling New Zealand have got 2 shots. So New Zealand men especially won't be happy with this performance, and nor will, I imagine, the selectors. But I'm still confident come May we'll be okay.
I'll bring you up to date with what's happening on green number 3 shortly. Robbie's finding out what's happening in the over 60s men for me. Thank you very much, Robbie. Oh, it's all tightened up in the men's triples. 13-13 it is now after 13 ends, so all 13s. In the over 60s men's pairs, Australia 13, New Zealand 6 after 11 ends. And behind me, we have the men's triples. It is Australia 16-6 over New Zealand after 15 ends. The pairs, all Australia 25-10 after 15 ends. This is the 2 development men's pairs and triples and pairs respectively. Then we have on the rinks alongside them the New Zealand women's pairs and triples. The pairs are down 22-4 and the triples are up, I believe, or down. No, they're down 14-11. And then we've got the 2 over 60s women's triples and pairs. The triple, currently, I can see they've got a 7. Are they 16-7 down, I believe, Robbie? Yeah, and then it's 9-all. It's in the women's pairs over 60s. That's after 13 of the 18 ends, and the pairs, the triples rather, after 15 of the 18. So bringing you all up to date here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club. That's all the action on green number 3. On green number 4 here in the women's triples. 13-10 it is after 12 ends to the New Zealand women's triple. 14-12 after 12 ends to the New Zealand women's pair. And the New Zealand men's pair are down 16-9. So the bad fortune, the bad run continues for the men. All continues pretty decent for the women, although very close fought as they're just trying to work out the count here, Kevin, in the men's triples.
It definitely won to New Zealand so far. There's a
one signal by Andrew Kelly down and doing the measure. So New Zealand finally have the jack back. 16-9 it is now after 14 of the 18 ends, and that is the first time New Zealand have scored since the 7th end. Is that correct?
7th end we scored a 1, and now we've come to end 14 and we've just scored a 1 again. And in between time, Australia have jumped from 6 to 16. And of course, don't forget all of these matches of which Brenton and I are covering, or have covered. You'll see they're all available to watch. You go back and watch them again on the Bowls New Zealand website. There's a library of these coverages of the various matches which Alex is putting up there. So
the aptly named Bowls TV.
Yes, you can go in there and have a watch of these games.
I think our matches from the Asia Pacific Championships have also been uploaded as well. So, yeah, a real library starting to be formed there. And that's all because of the great work of the Bowls New Zealand team, bringing all of us broadcasts to you.
Obviously, also, Brendan, those with that library of and the Bowls New Zealand TV storage, archives, whatever you want to use, it's also a great opportunity for players, coaches, selectors, where they can actually go back and watch particular matches, and you can see them in their entirety or whatever, and just have a look at how you have played, or how especially I think for the selectors, an ideal opportunity to look at some of how of the games.
Yeah, certainly, most likely we'll want to mute, I think, and just watch rather than listen to our nonsense. That's
correct. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Or my nonsense, anyway.
No.
Well, it's all tied up now in the women's pair. So I believe I said 13-4, now 14 all after 13 of the 18 ends in the women's pair. So while it's still a close contest, unlike the men's matches.
Kelly, who's drawn the shot.
You never know how important that could be, that women's pairs match. It was very vital yesterday. A big loss for New Zealand in the women's pair, and differential proved to be the key factor as they were all tied up. 2 wins apiece and 2 draws in the second Trans-Tasman Test for women at Musgrave Hill yesterday. So it came down to shot differential, and Australia won by just 3.
So here's Andrew Kelly, New Zealand holding. Breaking down towards it, going to sit on the shot bowl, and applause from the skip, Ali Forsyth. 16-9. Well, you picked 3 shots up here. You're still in with a chance, no doubt about that. We've certainly seen games turn around. And Brenton and I, of course, the biggest one of recent times that we've done, commentated of a massive turnaround, of course, was the Shannon McElroy Fabling semi-final of the Nationals last year, and also later on in the day from that, Selena Goddard versus Debbie White, when again both McElroy and Selena Goddard had the matches won, and
yeah, well, it certainly shows, especially in singles as well. That last shot we've mentioned time and time again in commentary can be the toughest to get.
Certainly is.
The first 20 seem relatively easy to come by, and that last one, I think Selena Goddard was up 20-11,
correct,
I believe, and obviously in the end lost 21-20.
Aaron Sheriff draw a back toucher. Just the class of this player.
And Shannon McElroy was up more than that, wasn't he?
Yeah,
but not on 20, was he? 19-3 up or 19-4
something
up
along
like that?
along that number. Yeah, and that'll knock another Australian bowl in as Ali Forsyth ran into a bowl. But in saying that, it was certainly a marvellous game though, Brett, and the heads were like, I remember you and I commentated that game, and
there was not one drive in that match.
No, it was
in the men's semi-final between Fabling and McElroy. It was incredible.
It was outstanding match. So here's now Aaron Sheriff trying to build to the count with his last bowl on what will be the last bowl of the 15th end. Australia definitely holding. I'm looking at the body language of Andrew Kelly, and it's very,
I think it's 3.
Not good.
I think a 3 signalled by Aaron Tees, I believe. I'll wait and see what the scoreboard is updated, but certainly multiple again for Australia as they continue to dominate this matchup. It was pretty even in the early days, but really since the 8th end onwards, it has really been all Australia.
So we come to the 16th end with, we're saying that was a 3. Is it gone up on the?
It hasn't gone up on the board yet. No, to Australia. If Australia, sorry Alex, it hasn't gone up on the board yet, but we think it's a 3. Yet to be confirmed on the 15th end. So now playing the 16th.
And the jack right down on the 2 metre mark as we see Barry Lester, the Australian lead, playing down on the backhand and just going to drift in behind the jack by around a metre. And it is that you can see that women's pairs board just a flash there as the camera went round. 14 all after 13 of 18 ends. It's Joe Edwards up against Kelsey Cottrell. As we watch this bowl, Jamie Hills now break down towards their head. Is it going to get all the way for shot? Ali Forsyth gives it a sort of, well, he massaged his hands, really didn't really give it a clap. He just sort of, you can see from the body language of the New Zealand side that pretty down in the mouth after what's happened in this run of ends between ends 7 and 14. So Barry Lester coming past the Jamie Hill bowl and will pull up directly in behind the jack. Ali Forsyth, I think he was signalling that the front bowl is in fact still the shot.
The men's pair, Chris Lalieve and Gary Lawson, down 18-9 after 14 of the 18 ends to Corey Wedlock and Aaron Wilson. As mentioned by Kevin just moments ago, 14 apiece in the women's pairs after 13 of the 18 ends, and after 13 of the 18 ends in the women's triples, New Zealand leading 13-11.
And we just saw Jamie Hill with his second bowl get a touch on the jack. But unfortunately, it just then sat along with Barry Lester bowl. See now, Aaron T's trying to get the jack in the ditch. He's not worrying about the shot, trying to get the jack. He got the jack all right. His bowl ran into the ditch, did the T's bowl, and will remain a toucher. But the jack, in fact, went around the corner, still stayed up, and New Zealand now holding to one shot.
We can tell you there was a fact of 4 on the previous end, not a 3 to Australia. So 20-9, 20-9, Australia leading. So it was a 4 rather than a 3 on the previous end.
So 2 to New Zealand now, as we see Australia going for the jugular now, trying to get the jack into the ditch, knowing that there's already a Aaron T's toucher in the ditch. New Zealand holding 2 and could well be holding 3 after this bowl of Andrew Kelly's breaks down towards the head, gets a clap from Ali Forsyth, and it will sit on top of the other New Zealand bowls. Definitely 3 to New Zealand, But I'm sure we're going to see Aaron Sheriff. He'll be endeavouring to get that jack in the ditch where there's already a touch-up. So for those who aren't aware of what happens here, if the bowl, in fact, draws onto the jack and the bowl goes into the ditch and stays inside the confines of the side rinks, it's still deemed it's a touch-up and it's still deemed as alive, as that's exactly what Aaron Sheriff endeavoured to do. But
missed with his first, but he's going to get another opportunity, Kevin.
He will. He ran wide of the jack, as we see now. Ali Forsyth holding 3 and obviously trying to build more onto this head. And obviously doesn't want to get a on the other side to give a lean to Sheriff. So definitely 4 to New Zealand. And we'll see Sheriff yet again. He will certainly be chasing to get that jack into the ditch.
Playing with more reaching weight this time rather than the drive. Has he got the line right?
He's chasing it. It's still coming. It's still coming. Is he going to draw it dead? No, he's not. Well, the shot for Ali Forsyth now is to play that same hand, play across the head, play the bowl out for 4 or 5. And that is what Ali Forsyth's trying to do, get down under the New Zealand bowls, get down to this bowl of Aaron Sheriff, run it out of the head for 5 shots. Was a bowl underneath the line, but it was the shot to play, all right.
Just the one, I believe, for New Zealand. So, coming under the line there. So, 2-10 now after 16 of the 18 ends. This men's triples matchup. And the men's pairs, Australia very much in control of that one, 19-9 after 16 of the 18 ends. New Zealand have got the lead in the women's pairs though after 14 of 18 ends. It is 16-14. And in the women's triples, 14-11 after 14 of the 18 ends in that contest as well. So, still going well for the women. Of course, this deciding third Trans-Tasman test for them here at Broadbeach Bowls Club. For the men, unfortunately, have to say goodbye to the Trans-Tasman for another year, as it is out of their reach after the Jackaroos men won the first test at Club Helensvale and the second at Musgrave Hill. But the women, it's off to a good start, of course. They play 4 matches today, and if they can hold on here and win both of the morning's matches, that will be a massive boost for them. They only have to split the last 4, and they will be winning the Trans-Tasman.
Yes, see Jamie Hill draw a touch-up on this, the 17th of 18 ends, and that would certainly be a great achievement by our New Zealand women side, who, to be fair, also fared pretty well as well in the Asia Pacific, with both Joe Edwards winning a gold in the singles and a gold, of course, in the 4s. It was the Val Smith skip side, and a bronze medal as well for the women in the triples. So the women have gone fairly well this year in the international events.
Robbie has the latest from the over 60s men's, which is on this green that we're broadcasting from, green number 4 here at Broadbeach. In the triples, 15 apiece now. It was 13 apiece at last call, now 15 apiece after 14 ends. And the men's over 60s pairs, it's 13 apiece after 15. So we've got some pretty fascinating contests unfolding there.
Talking to Dave Archer, Pat Houlihan, who are out in front of us here, the two, one from Central Otago, the other one from Otago, thoroughly enjoying this experience. In fact, they've found it to be, they're very proud, in fact, of having the opportunity of representing New Zealand. As we watch now, T's on the drive, New Zealand holding 3 shots. He'll get one of the bowls, doesn't get the jack. Leaves 2 for New Zealand, with Australia leading 20-10 as we come to the end of what is end 17, the penultimate end here. And this obviously is going to be another win to Australia. Unless, of course, New Zealand can get a 6 and a 5 on these remaining 2 ends.
I think we can say that's not going to happen.
I can think it's
pretty safe to say, I think.
Very safe.
With Aaron Sheriff as a skip, I don't think he's going to allow that to happen.
So here's now Ali Forsyth with New Zealand holding. Got the cap on now, Brendan. Someone's gone and got that cap for him. And he's now got the cap on. So Mike Kernahan, of course, will be
relieved.
He'll be happy about that, Kearney. Of course, Mike Kernahan always plays with the
floppy.
The floppy, Hat's floppy.
It's good to see that's come back into the New Zealand team as well.
On the drive is Sheriff, puts the jack into the ditch, and you might have seen just the other day, in fact, Brenton, Mike Kernahan making a presentation to your co-commentator, John Macbeth, at the Raumati Club, where they have got these special bucket hats made for the sun on the Kapiti coast, and Mike Kernahan was out there with John Macbeth making a presentation.
We also have more from our roving reporter, Robbie. He's been very busy, really putting Alex Reid to shame here. In the development women, it is Australia and the triples up 29-4, and in the pairs up 16-13, both after 17 of the 18 ends, so that's near its conclusion. And the over 60s women, 17-9, the final score to Australia. And it's over 60s ladies triples, 17-9 to Australia, I assume. And then in the over 60s women's pairs, 12-10 to Australia after 17 of the 18 ends. So thank you very much, Robbie, for that. And we'll have a full wrap of all the first session results when we start our broadcast of our second session, and they'll be from midday, roughly, New Zealand time. I think it's going to be, 3 p.m. New Zealand time. Around 12:15 local time, we will be underway with that second session, so 3:15 New Zealand time. And we'll be broadcasting a pretty special match. There's women's fours, and it will be Val Smith's 600th match for New Zealand. Quite an achievement, joining just Joe Edwards and the 600 club for New Zealand. And of course, Joe Edwards, a close mate of hers, both out of Nelson. It's a very, very special day.
Certainly is. Another 2 there to Australia on the 17th end, taking it 22-10. And I just checking, as Alex has got some injury today, and he's sort of unable to sort of sprint around the greens to get his.
To be fair, he's been doing most of the
producing.
Been,
he's been in charge. Is that what he's been doing?
Alex has been very busy throughout the 3 days of the Trads Tasman. Yes. I will not have my roomie's name tarnished like that.
So, right, we won't pick on Alex anymore today. He's
hands off.
Yeah, hands off, Alex. He's, as we watch Jamie Hill now on this, the last end, draw in behind the jack. Now, the weather forecast, believe it or not, there was rain predicted for later on this afternoon.
When was that?
About 6 o'clock this morning on the news this morning.
Okay.
There was storms heading towards this area, and there was a chance of rain later on this afternoon. I'll wait and see.
When I looked this morning, there was a 5% chance of rain today.
Right, so I'll back your forecast, and I might have just seen the back of it. I might have been the Sydney forecast I was looking at.
It certainly doesn't feel like there's going to be any rain.
Well,
maybe later on today.
They've had storms in Sydney, so certainly no storms up here. Well, there's been a storm on the green here this morning with the Australian triples team of Barry Lester, Aaron Tees and Aaron Sheriff completely dominating this New Zealand side of the Ali Forsyth skip side with Andrew Kelly and Jamie Hill, and they've dominated, in fact, from the 7th end when New Zealand were leading 8-7, and from the ensuing, just watch Australia draw another shot, and from the 7th end on, we've just seen Australia go on a complete scoring spree. New Zealand now sitting on 10, but Australia at 22, so they've just really, they have given the New Zealanders as you watch the drive here to try and get rid of the shot bowl, has done so, has Andrew Kelly, but it's been very dominant performance on the draw and waited. The draw by the front two of the Australian side, Brendan, and the weighted shots of Aaron Sheriff have just been too powerful for New Zealand triple.
Yeah, and they're shaking hands in the men's pairs as well. So New Zealand have lost that. Not sure exactly what the final score, but they were 19-10 down, playing the last. So they've shook hands, and it's another win for Australia. The Jackaroos over the Blackjacks in the Open men's competition. The Open women, though, for New Zealand, is faring much better, and that's why our remaining matches of this third and final Trans-Tasman Test, our coverage here from Broadbeach Bowls, will be women's matches. We'll have the women's fours up next in our second session from around 3:15 New Zealand time, and then from 6 p.m. we will have the women's triples as well.
So we're hoping, of course, for a winning day for our New Zealand women's side. It's a team of Jo Edwards, Val Smith, Selena Goddard, Caitlin Inch and Taylor Bruce. And, of course, Jo Edwards playing the singles, and the fours will be skipped by Caitlin Inch with Val Smith, Selena Goddard and Taylor Bruce. And we'll have all of that action this afternoon as we see shake hands time in the men's triples. Is Ali Forsyth going to get the jack with his last bowl and draw the shot? Yes, he is.
Two signalled, so New Zealand pick up a couple on the 18th and final end. But it's still 10 short, 22-12. We believe it is finished here. Australia over New Zealand in the men's triples in this first session of the third and final Trans-Tasman Test. And after a pretty good start for New Zealand, they were up 8-6, I think it was, Kevin. But from that moment onwards, really, it was all Australia.
Yeah, 8-6 New Zealand were leading after 7 ends. And remembering, of course, on the third end of this match, New Zealand dropped to 5 and then bounced their way back to jump to the lead. In fact, leading 8-7 after 8 ends. But then we saw a 1, a 3, a 2, a 1, a 1, a 2, then a 4 and a 2. And Australia really just giving New Zealand a lesson in the back end of this game, with Australia running out the winners by 22 shots to 12. So that means in the men's disciplines, we've seen Australia beating the Gary Lawson and Krista Lee Pearce combination, and a convincing win for Australia in the men's triples. So again, another poor morning for the New Zealand men's side here at day 3 of the Trans-Tasman Test Series at the Broadbeach Bowling Club on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, not so bad though for the women so far. I think we might see the board change shortly, but after 15 ends for the women's pair, that's Jo Edwards and Taylor Bruce. They lead 16-15 over Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart. I think New Zealand have just scored another. So now
just drew the shot.
17-15 after 16 now of the 18 ends. And in the women's triples with 3 ends to play. Currently playing the 16th in the women's triple. It is New Zealand leading 15-12. And, of course, the New Zealand women very much alive in that Trans-Tasman Test Series. They won the first test, narrowly went down in the second. And that will be our focus for the second session. We will have the women's fours action for you. And of special note, it is Val Smith's 600th game for New Zealand. And could be a big afternoon of celebration for this Blackjacks women's squad. So join us back here at Broadbeach Bowls from around 3:15 New Zealand time for that second session of the day. We will have another session, the third and final of this third and final Trans-Tasman Test from around 6 o'clock. That will be women's triples action. Selena Goddard, Val Smith and Caitlin Inch up against Australia. And what could be the deciding session of the Trans-Tasman Series. But come back at 3:15. Women's fours action. Taylor Bruce, Selena Goddard, Val Smith and Caitlin Inch up against Australia. And what could be a great afternoon of celebration for the New Zealand women.